Hi and welcome to this Taurus inspired reading for August 2025. I'm just cleaning the energy a little bit here. And yeah, we're gonna look at a situation with the help of the symbolism of the tarot cards and the Western astrology. I am not a fortune teller. I'm merely working with the help of the cards to find new insight, to find new perspectives, maybe a little bit of inspiration for our situation and to assist in self-reflection. So let's see what wants to come out at this time. Nine of Pentacles, I love it already. Confidence, confidence, confidence. So yeah. All right. Sticky cards. Four of Cups. Four of Cups is the first card, center of the reading. It is a card where we are maybe in a place where we kind of have a hard time accepting things coming in from the outside, especially on an emotional level. Maybe we need a little bit of isolation and solitude right now. Maybe we feel like we actually have enough. We have more than we need and we just might need a little quiet. And even if people want to reach out to us or want to help us or want to offer us something on an emotional level, we might not be ready to actually open up and take it. This can also be, of course, a card where we kind of in a I don't want to say the word pissed, but I have to say the word pissed position about somebody. Maybe somebody did us wrong, or maybe we're just a little disappointed or over it or over a situation. And even if we get offerings from the outside and it doesn't even have the same person that pissed us off, we're just kind of not in the mood to accept what's coming towards us. And also, often with this card, I just get the sense that we are at a point where we have to figure out some feelings on our own. You know, sometimes we just need to work through some stuff on our own, and even if people want to help us, we cannot really work with other people right now to get us out of that. At the same time, this card is also some sort of emotional balance or stability, I want to say, that we find within ourselves by falling back onto ourselves. So actually it's quite a luxurious card. In other decks it's also called luxury, really, because we know that we can really nurture ourselves, and that's the greatest luxury, when you're able to give yourself that emotional balance or stability that you need, and you have the time and the space to retreat, actually. Six of Swords is crossing this Four of Cups, and I feel like it has to do with finding answers in new territory, and maybe also digging a little deeper when it comes to our knowledge of ourselves, maybe going to new places within ourselves that we haven't been, or thinking about new places, processing in a different way, finding new tricks, maybe finding new psychological tricks to react to a situation. The Six of Swords is for me often a card, or always a card of science, where we really explore new territory. We leave behind territory that we figured out, that we know, that we also maybe want to move away from because there's nothing left for us, no answers left. And with the Six of Swords, we're really looking for answers, for information, for clarity, for new insights. Also, this is all a very mental and headspace type of process that we're going through here, and we're really moving on into something new, into something we don't know, and we're exploring options, we're exploring knowledge. We might even be learning, we might be studying new things. So very interesting moment. It's also pointing down to the subconscious a little bit, so let's see if it has to do with something that is a little hidden. Two of Wands in the reverse. Okay, just gonna get some more cards. We're coming out of the Temperance in the reverse. All right, the Knight of Cups, I like that in the higher self. Oh, I really like that. That is a good way to see things. And the Four of Swords. Well, all right. Subconsciously, there is this energy of maybe having a little bit of a hard time gaining control over the moment with the Two of Wands, or having a little bit of a hard time taking the next steps. It could very well be that we just really are exhausted or emotionally drained a little bit, and that we are tired, because with the Four of Swords that we are moving into, we have this indication and this suggestion that we should really take some time to rest, to relax, to let the answers come towards us more than trying to desperately find them. With the Six of Swords, we're not really desperate, we're just very curious. But it seems like we find more answers right now, and more clarity, and more peace, and more truth in meditating, resting, letting things just come to us, letting ideas come to us, rather than trying to find them. Even though the Six of Swords is suggesting that, but I think the more we do that, the more we get into this place of a little bit of losing control over our next actions or our next steps, or the only thing we really find is that we don't know what next steps to take, or we don't really know how to move right now. And maybe we just don't need to move, and we just need to move with our emotions and take our emotions to really build this higher knowledge. We don't really need to do that much, you know, we don't need to go into action that much. Because there might be some imbalance when it comes to fire and water energy, or there might have been some imbalance when it comes to fire and water energy here with the Temperance in the reverse in the past position. This is just showing us that we cannot just ignore or push away or not pay attention to a certain side within us that we need. Things get a little out of hand when the Temperance is in the reverse. We don't find the right solution. We might feel a little extreme. It might feel like a very unbalanced time. And here it just very much seems like, for me, what's really coming through these two fours, to keep our stability, we need to make sure that we have enough rest and solitude and I don't want to say isolation, but time with ourselves. And therefore it's going to become much easier to actually understand our emotions a little better and to move forward with them, and also to communicate them. Because with the Knight of Cups, we really want to communicate how we feel, but how can we communicate how we feel when we don't really know how we feel? And that's what's coming through a little bit, and we're trying to figure it out, and we're trying to look for answers, but there's just this block a little bit with the Two of Wands in the reverse. And with the Four of Cups, it's also often a card where we are just not quite ready to explain or to express our emotions. And we might wait a little bit longer here so clarity can come up, and so we actually have something to say. I think in this situation we know that this is what we need to do to gain more clarity. So we need to draw back, we need to relax, we need to take our naps, we need to take our time, we need to maybe also meditate if you have the time for it. I think with the Four of Swords, always about yoga nidra. If you are somebody who is into yoga, this is a great way of just rewiring and resetting your nervous system and letting thoughts just clear by itself. So this is a really good moment to do that. And I think therefore expressing what you actually feel might become much easier. Okay, so how do we experience ourselves in this situation? Ace of Wands, that's interesting though, because we find that inspiration, we find that spark within us. I think we just don't know just yet how to handle it or how to direct it. Because Ace of Wands, Two of Wands, it's just a jump where it's like, okay, we have that inspiration, we have that spark, we have that life within us. It's not that we are completely like so exhausted that we don't have any life force left. It's more like, how can I get in control of that spark? How can I direct it in a way that is moving me forward? But I think we don't want to worry too much about moving forward too fast right now, because it's just part of the result of rest and of recuperation is this spark. We find this through calming down, quieting down, resting. That's how we find the spark again. And we don't want to just be too hasty to move forward. All right, outside influences. Seven of Pentacles. You might be surrounded also by people who are a little bit in a waiting and assessment situation or position. People might also be looking at what they've built with you, taking their time to make an assessment, maybe also not making big jumps right now, because it's more important to look at the results of what we've built so far rather than, you know, taking concrete steps. But this is a really important moment here also for people surrounding you to really maybe, you know, as long as you're resting, maybe people just can also find the time, because they can tell you need rest or you need a little bit of downtime, to really look at the situation a little closer, at the situation you've built with them or they've built with you, and also maybe look for some things that we can do better. That's actually what the Seven of Pentacles here is doing. We've built a really nice picture here. We've built a really nice garden and a really nice plant and a bush, and there's a lot of stuff growing on it, but we always can do something better. And this is the moment where we can really look at things a little more detailed and figure out what are the little mistakes that I made, what did I do well. And it's quite a smart move to take a step back and look at a situation a little closer, in a close up, and not acting right away. He's having this wand in his hand, or it's a rake actually, and he's ready to get into action. But first, he's also thinking about where he wants to put the work in next. Fears. The Knight of Wands in the reverse. Yeah, that's a very well connected and synchronistic card to this reading, because with the Knight of Wands in the reverse, we do have that fear of things getting too stressful or too hasty, or just our ego moving us forward rather than an actual healthy life force, and also maybe forcing things or being too aggressive or not having enough energy. This could all be like this life force energy, this drive forward that is somehow out of balance. Either it's too much of it and then we kind of burn ourselves out, or it's not enough of it. We cannot really find the spark. We cannot really find a good balance to direct it. I think it's not so much about not finding the spark, because we do have the Ace of Wands here. It's not so much about finding this lust for life. It's more about maybe even being afraid that we will lose it again, or that it's gonna go astray. into areas where we don't want to really put it, because we might have to manage our energy really well right now. That feels right to say. That feels resonant. All right, so what's the outcome or the key card? Six of Pentacles in the reverse. And Page of Pentacles in the reverse. We have the Page of Pentacles and the Page of Wands, the Knight of Wands, the Ace of Wands, the Two of Wands. This is all really pointing to us learning how to handle our energy. And the Page of Wands in the reverse, he's a little lost. He's either a little going overboard, or he's doing not enough, and then he gets exhausted, and then he can't do anything, and then he gets frustrated, and then he gets mad, and then it's a teenage type of energy that has not really established so well how to really get what they want or go after what they want, and there's a lot of frustration energy sometimes. And with the Page and the Knight both in the reverse, if the Page continues to act the way he acts, then he might just arrive at this Knight of Wands in the reverse type of energy that is somehow this either very restricted ego or very overblown, toxic, quote unquote, ego, because we did not really learn how to handle we weren't allowed to, that doesn't have to be our own responsibilities or own fault, but this is something that we want to master, to really put our energies into actually creating the things that we want to see, that we want to experience, and to create experience also that we want to have. Also with other people. And we have a Six of Pentacles in the reverse here as well as the key card, and it is again a card of resources not being balanced, also in the everyday. Maybe you're overdoing something, maybe you feel like you now need people to give more or to contribute more to a situation because you don't have the resources right now. And it might just be a temporary moment of, things not being balanced or resources not being balanced out, especially when it comes to working with other people, or maybe not having the results that you really want to have based on how much you put into a situation or into work or into relationships also could be, and it might not feel quite fair. It might feel a little bit like, oh, I'm putting so much work in, or I don't have more, it's all I can give right now, but it feels like it's not enough, and why am I not getting something back, and now I have to rely on other people, and these other people, they are also in this waiting position because they are not quite sure where to put the work in. It's a little tricky, but I think the most important part of this is really the Page of Wands in the reverse, saying we need to check our ego a little bit, because there will be times where things just don't move forward the way we want to, and this is where we learn frustration management. This is when we learn how to accept and let go and find a more constructive and productive way of directing our spark and our life force. It's a little tough, I know. Because with the Page of Wands, we can also do some stupid things. I really have to say stupid. It's like a classic stupid, ego-driven type of, but I want this to work now, and that's why I'm going to do this. And it's probably a stupid idea, I have to say. Page of Wands in the reverse, especially. Page of Wands upright, not necessarily. I will draw one more oracle card. Excitement. Get excited about the things you want to do, or the other way around, find the things that you are actually excited about and do them. And maybe it's also about pacing our excitement, but I don't even think so. I think it's more about really looking a little closer at ourselves and really defining what actually excites us. Because we might just put our energy into situations, and I said it so many times in this reading, that, you know, just take it and then it's gone. But we don't really get anything out of it. It was maybe fun in the moment, but it's not something that we can really build upon, or that didn't really teach us so much about getting further or growth or developing. And I think when we really listen to all these manifestation techniques and teachers, there's a lot of potential and possibility in being excited in a positive way. So I think we really want to, and maybe we get excited even about resting. Maybe that's the most exciting thing you can do right now. Maybe it's like, oh, that's the most perfect thing, that I can just lie down and stare at the ceiling. How exciting is that? Maybe there's something coming up from within me that's going to inspire me to get up and do something. So yeah, that's the reading. Very weird and interesting at the same time. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. Please check out my description box for all the information you need, how you can support this channel, and also book readings. And also please like, subscribe, comment. I hope I'll see you next time. And until then, have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.